Should advertising directed at children be restricted? By Tiffany Gaston and Marissa Dalagon.
Yes, Stephanie Clifford from A Fine Line When Ads and Children Mix. NewYorkTimes.com 2010. No, Patrick Basham and John Lewick from A Happy Meal Ban is Nothing to Smile About. CATO.org 2010. Stephanie Clifford wrote the article A Fine Line When Ads and Children Mix to make the argument that there needs to be restrictions. Patrick Basham and John Lewick wrote the article A Happy Meal Ban is Nothing to Smile About to make the argument that restrictions are not needed.
According to the American Psychological Association, the average child is exposed to more than 40,000 TV commercials per year, and the advertising industry spends $12 billion per year on ads targeted to children. Advertising directed at children has been a subject of debate for many years. Some will argue that it can be harmful to children and manipulative, while others believe that it is simply a part of a free market economy.
The issue of whether to restrict advertising directed at children is important for several reasons. Children are a vulnerable population who may not have the cognitive and emotional maturity to recognize and resist manipulative or deceptive advertising tactics. Advertising directed at children often promotes unhealthy behaviors and products that can contribute to obesity and other health problems. By restricting advertising directed at children could therefore help protect them from exploitation and promote healthier behaviors. Advertising to children has also been shown to have a significant impact on their purchasing decisions and preferences, which can influence their lifelong behavior as consumers. This makes it an important issue not only for children's health and well being, but also for the broader societal implications of advertising to children. Restricting advertising to children raises important ethical and legal questions about free speech, commercial interests, and government regulations.
Advertising directed at children can have both positive and negative impacts on businesses and society. Some positive impacts for businesses are 1. Advertising directed to children can be an effective way for companies to promote their products and increase sales. Children can be a valuable target market because they have their own spending power and can influence their parents' purchasing decisions. Number 2, creating brand loyalty at a young age can lead to lifelong customers. If children develop positive associations with a particular brand, they are more likely to continue using that brand as they get older. And 3, advertising can also be used to educate children about their benefits of certain products, such as healthy foods and educational toys. Some negative impacts for businesses are 1. If advertising is seen as manipulative or exploitative, it can damage a company's reputation and brand image. This can lead to a loss of customers and decreased sales. Number 2, if advertising promotes products that are seen as harmful to children's health or well being, it can lead to public backlash and calls for regulation. And 3, companies may face legal challenges if their advertising is found to be deceptive or misleading, or if it violates regulations on advertising the children.
Some positive impacts on society are 1. Is that advertising can be a source of entertainment and education for children and can expose them to new products and ideas. Number 2, advertising can help fund media and entertainment that children can enjoy, such as children's television, programming, and magazines. And 3, advertising can also be used to promote positive behaviors and social causes, such as encouraging children to recycle or promoting healthy lifestyles. Some negative impacts on society are 1. Advertising directed to children has been linked to unhealthy behaviors, such as excessive consumption of sugar or fatty foods, and can contribute to childhood obesity and other health problems. Number 2, advertising can create unrealistic expectations and promote materialism and consumerism, which can have a negative impact on children's mental health and well-being. And 3, advertising can contribute to gender and racial stereotypes and promote harmful messages and behavior, such as violence and aggression. The issue in regards to ethics in marketing to children can be approached with the deontological perspective. This perspective focuses on the moral duties and obligations that people have, regardless of the outcomes or consequences. It can be argued that society has a duty to protect children from harm and exploitation, and by placing restrictions on advertising directed to them is morally right, even if it may not necessarily lead to the best possible outcome. Consequentialism is concerned with the outcomes or consequences of actions. With this perspective, it can be argued that by restricting advertising directed at children is deemed ethical, because it can lead to positive outcomes such as protecting vulnerable children from exploitation, promoting healthy habits, and safeguarding their privacy. From a free market perspective, the argument would be that restrictions on advertising directed at children would be an unnecessary intervention in the market. In a free market, companies are allowed to advertise their products and compete with each other to attract customers. It is up to individual consumers to make their own purchasing decisions based on their preferences and needs. Those who advocate for the free market approach would argue that advertising directed at children is simply a part of the competitive market, and that parents have the ultimate responsibility to decide what their children are exposed to and what products they purchase.
For the yes argument, Stephanie Clifford advocates for restrictions on direct advertising to children, citing their limited cognitive abilities and vulnerability to manipulation. She argues for more clarity and disclosure in advertisements to prevent deception and negative consequences, such as obesity and health issues. Clifford also calls for greater regulation of misleading and inappropriate advertisements targeted toward children due to their age vulnerability and cognitive limitations. The article, Digital Advertising to Children, published by the American Academy of Pediatrics, supports Clifford's arguments. In this article, they mention that research suggests that children under 7 years of age have a limited ability to understand that advertisements are trying to change their behavior, while children aged 7 to 11 can recognize advertising with their parents' assistance. They may not understand it as a larger commercial concept. Children aged 12 and older can identify advertisements and their persuasive intent, which is why some countries ban advertising to children under 12. However, even recognizing persuasive intent may not necessarily lead to the ability to resist marketing, particularly for highly appealing products that use emotional or subconscious approaches. Most research on children's understanding of advertising focuses on television and print ads, but newer forms of advertising on mobile, interactive, and smart technologies are more challenging to identify. These advertisements may not occur predictably and may be integrated into the content, linked to rewards, or embedded in trusted social networks. Regulations on television advertising have not yet been updated for the modern digital environment. The shift in media consumption by children and teenagers towards the internet, social media, video games, and mobile applications has enabled advertisers to use behavioral data collection to build digital profiles that make advertising more effective. Sponsored content and influencers on social media platforms are now commonly used for commercial purposes. Data collection techniques include cookies, tracking of device data, and aggregation of personal data to infer characteristics such as sexual orientation or health problems. Design elements that encourage specific behaviors, such as in-app purchases and gamified ads, are frequently employed. Additionally, artificial intelligence and machine learning are now integral to many technologies accessed by children and can be used to influence users. Food advertising, tobacco and e-cigarette advertising, alcohol advertising, and marijuana advertising have all been linked to increased consumption among youth. Advertisers use social media and other platforms to reach younger audiences with fast food, sugar sweetened beverages, and other unhealthy products being particularly prevalent in low income and minority communities. Advertisements can also reinforce cultural biases on healthy body image ideals.
And a Happy Meal ban is nothing to smile about. Basham and Luke addressed the issue of restricting advertisements from children by focusing on one small segment of children advertisements, such as fast food marketing. Basham and Luke criticized the four arguments used to support the San Francisco Happy Meal toy ban, referring to them as false assumptions. Ideas that fast food makes children overweight, fast food marketing causes childhood obesity, fat children grow into unhealthy adults, and overweight children have higher healthcare costs. They conclude that there is no scientific evidence to support the assumptions that fast food ads are the reason for childhood obesity. There are a variety of factors that cause obesity among children, such as genetics, family and lifestyle factors, underlying health conditions, eating disorders, depression, stress, and/or lack of sleep. Individuals have the choice to indulge or not. Food advertisements aren't all to blame for contributing to obesity. It's the parents' responsibility to monitor children's exposure to advertisements and social media. One of the fundamentals of a market economy is the free flow of information about goods and services offered for sale. The underlying theory is that the more consumers are fully informed, the better equipped they will be to make purchase decisions appropriate to their own needs. Free market economies are dependent on consumer preferences, not governmental regulations. In most cases, advertising provides useful information to consumers and aids firms in promoting their products and services by enabling them to compete more effectively. A third type of marketing potential is represented by children, the future consumer. Children have a major impact on their parents' buying habits. They can influence their parents' purchasing decisions as well as influence their own purchasing behavior. It is well known to advertisers that children form brand loyalty and consumer habits at a young age. Future buyers can be more easily shaped than customers who buy from competitors, so marketers should form relationships with consumers early on. In conclusion, the issue of whether to restrict advertising directed at children is complex and multifaceted. While advertising can have both positive and negative impacts on businesses and society, it is important to consider the potential harm that can be caused to vulnerable children. Restrictions on advertising directed at children can protect them from exploitation and promote healthier behaviors, while also raising important ethical and legal questions about free speech, commercial interests, and government regulations. Ultimately, it is up to individuals and society as a whole to determine the appropriate balance between protecting children and allowing for the free market of advertising. So, do you think advertising directed at children should be or should not be restricted? Thank you for your time.